everyone, welcome to your Archetypes reading today. I have to say it's been a challenge. I have tried to run this reading through a couple of times and it was fantastic, and I checked the recording and the recording stopped both times. So I'm hoping I have this worked out because I really want to bring this reading forward for you. So we're working with Archetype deck today, and if you took a look at that tag image, that first image, there were 3 piles, and we have pile 1, 2, and 3. So you take a look at the energy of the piles, although the image is all the same, you'll be drawn either to the number 1, 2, or 3, or you'll be drawn to one specific pile will call you more than the others. And that's the reading that you need to follow for today, because that'll hold the message for the archetype that you need to, that is important in your life, that relates to you, okay? So we're going to get started with the first pile. So if you chose pile 1, then we're going to get going with that. Just before we do, archetypes are, they are repeating patterns of behavior in our lives, and we all carry different archetypes. We have multiple archetypes running, patterns of behavior running at any given time in our lives. Some of them are big themes in our lives that carry us throughout, and some of them are smaller themes where they come in and we process through using them, and then we transmute them and we don't need them anymore. They're really tools. They're excellent for awareness and interacting with ourselves and interacting with others. Okay, so we're going to get started with the first pile. So welcome. If you are from the group that chose pile number 1, we're going to get started with your archetype reading today. We're going to shuffle the deck and come up with one archetype that we're going to take a look at and focus in on. I will talk about the light attributes of that archetype, meaning when you're in flow with it, in the sort of the positive, using light energy, that's how it works. And then the shadow attributes, when you're not in flow with it, when you're using that archetype where it's present in your life, not in the fulfilling way, then that's the shadow attribute. And as the reading progresses, you will uncover whether this represents you or a person in your life, and whether it's the shadow aspect or whether it's the light aspect. Okay. So we have the Knight to start us off here in this first pile. Light attributes of the Knight are loyalty, romance, and chivalry, love of honor. So this is a person, and this could represent a male energy, but it could also be a feminine energy, where, in a loving relationship, this person is all about the loyalty, the romance, doing the little things, being that knight in shining armor, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be romantic, because this is all about honor as well. So this could be a person that just lives their life through that lens of that loyalty, that commitment, that love for romance, and that staying true to, to the honor in situations. Now, in its shadow attributes, it is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. So in its shadow aspect, that's where you have a misplaced loyalty to something that, to a person, to a ruler, or a principle. So to an ideal, or to a person that isn't positive, that is destructive, but you have this, you've energetically lined yourself up to that, and it's not serving you, because it's not of the light energy. It could also be romantic delusions, where you've got someone that perceives a romantic situation in a completely different way than what your reality of that situation is. So that's the archetype that we're working with for our first reading today. So we'll set that there. And what we're going to do is move into some tarot to get a little bit more clarity around who this person might be in your life if this isn't you, and whether it's whether you need to recognize where the light attributes are being utilized right now, or whether this is the shadow aspect of the night right now. This feels more relationshipy. So if it is that you are in partnership or that you are being pursued by someone, right now you're entertaining in, getting into a union on some level, in a romantic way, then this could pertain to you. If you are already in union and things have been misaligned, then perhaps this is helping to point out some of these shadow attributes that are at play, either by you or by your partner, someone else. It will all depend. You will have to bring the more specific meaning, as this is still a general type read, okay? All right, I'm very excited for this to finally work out and this to record all the way through for you, because these have been great, really great readings. Okay. All right. So yeah, definitely we've got this. It looks like this is about a relationship, and this is about, because we've got King of Cups, understanding. So this could represent a person in your life, that is that nurturing, patient, steady, loving, giving, understanding type of personality. This could be who this represents, this masculine energy, and it doesn't have to be a male. It's just the masculine energy. Okay, so you apply that to who that applies to. Could even be you. That you're working with this night energy. So you've got this loving, patient, kind energy here, that could represent a person. And then you've got gossip, and you've got imagination. So it looks a little bit like maybe we've got some shadow aspect in here already, where you're in a relationship or you're being pursued by someone, or perhaps you're doing the pursuing, where this person maybe represents all of these great things for you, represents this this beautiful night, chivalrous energy for you. And then we've got some gossip and imagination happening here. So it's almost like there's back talk, there's mistruth to it, where with the imagination and the gossip, to me, that's like that, and they're both pages. That's youthful energy, that's a little bit impulsive energy, and with there being the gossip and the imagination, perhaps someone's a little bit disillusioned here, with the shadow aspect. Perhaps you're just being a friend with someone. You have a loving connection, but you're not interested romantically. And perhaps you have a person coming in that is a little bit immature, is behaving a little bit in, the shadow aspect of this, where they've presented themselves with this delusion around this romance, or this possible romance, or their perception of this romance unfolding, and you're not in line with that. You're not in the same space as that. You may just see this person as this loving, patient, giving energy in your life, but not necessarily see them as romantic, right? Now, if this is on the positive, using the light energy of this night archetype, where, it's the loyalty, it's the service, it's the romance, it's all of those beautiful, beautiful things, then, that person is obviously creative. They could be represented by this king over here, and just be mindful of gossip of others then, be mindful of, or just be aware, have it in your awareness to not let the gossip of others, not let other people's jealousy or envy or, negative opinion about this possibility unfolding for you to impact you. If this is what you're looking for, this archetype, you're working with this archetype somehow. It either represents you or it represents another. It seems to be representing another in your life from what I'm seeing here. And it could be masculine or feminine, either way, but it seems to be representing someone who is offering, or you're already in partnership with someone, and you have others that are providing their opinions when they're not wanted, are gossiping about your situation. Maybe it's a bit unconventional. When we have the fathers here, they can sometimes represent older. So perhaps this is a partnership that you're being offered or that you've entered into where there's an age difference, or where there's, a wisdom and experience. There's a difference between you. Perhaps you're with someone that is somewhat older than you, and you're getting some negativity and some gossip. People's wheels are spinning and they're intruding themselves with their energy into your space. And don't allow that, because if this is a beautiful connection, if this represents this knight archetype for you in the light energy, the light attribute, then that can be a really beautiful thing and just what you need in your life right now. Because maybe you've been led to experiences, led to people that have been about gossip and have just created delusions in their own minds, and now you're making a different choice with this person, and just allow that energy to come and don't worry about them. And if this is in the shadow aspect of it, where there's someone that's coming in and they're presenting as all of these things, but really they're not, they're not those things, then listen to, they have this illusion around what's possible with you, or their perception of you, and or, pay attention to the people around them that may be giving you signs and signals through gossip that, this is possibly not everything that it's cracked up to be in its light aspect, right? So let's dig a little deeper with a little bit more tarot and see how this story unfolds. Because that's, in its light attributes, that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful pattern of behavior to have, as long as you're true to that and you hold your boundaries and you don't do things based on, reaction to other situations, that you keep your integrity, really, right? Okay, so let's see what more tarot we have to pull into this. Okay, so intuition, the High Priestess, yes, all right. So with the King of Cups, understanding, we've got intuition, the High Priestess here. So this could be your energy with the High Priestess. And it's all about your intuition. It's all about following. Intuition comes to us from either our gut space, we all feel it in different places. It can be in our gut space, it can be in our heart space, it can be a knowing that we get, an image, a word, but there's just something that we know. Some of us are even attached to colors, so we could have certain colors that come in and represent certain things. But you're being asked to pay attention in this romantic situation that you are either going to be offered or you're being pursued, sort of courted by someone, by this knight energy here. You just want to use your intuition and make sure that it is presenting itself authentically within that light attribute of that knight, okay? Because in its shadow aspect, that's not healthy. There's a delusion there. It's, it's based on falsities. So you want to make sure that you use your intuition and your own inner discernment, because you have the ability to do that. It's in you, and you know that on some level. You know that. And Spirit may already be giving you messages around this particular situation, whether you are already in union with someone and things have shifted You know, they've gone from the light attribute to the shadow attribute, either from your perspective or from theirs. This is telling you you've got to pay attention to your intuition and ignore that gossip, you know, and that letting your imagination get the best of you, and hold on to the truth of the relationship as you know it. It will transform. It's transforming into something else, you know. And then we have the Six of Wands, success, which is right over top of, I believe, gossip here. So as long as you stay true to yourself, use your intuition with regard to this potential romance, this potential partnership, or the union you're already in, stay connected to that union, you know, stay connected to what brought you together. If you're still in a place where it's nurturing and it's serving both of you, then this is just a pattern to move through. You know, this is one of those sort of glitches, so to speak. And if this is an unconventional relationship, so to speak, really I don't know what would be considered unconventional anymore. You know, we all should have the freedom to move and be with and love anyone that we choose to, regardless of what that looks like and feels like and presents itself as. But, you know, there are still those that don't feel that way in this world. So stay true to you. It doesn't matter. You know, if this is your night, whether it's male or female, you know, masculine or feminine energy, stick to this if this feels right. Use your intuition, because this is nurturing and loving and loyal, and someone that's going to stand by you and really love you from that authentic heart space, you know. And then we've got passion coming up, Queen of Wands. So, you know, you're going to come into this new passion. If this is someone that's pursuing you, that's using their light attributes of the Knight archetype, or if this is you, if you know, stay in that chivalrous, loyal, honorable, romantic, beautiful, treat people the way you want to be treated, have healthy boundaries, you know, if it's you or another, maintain that, you know, and it builds into this beautiful relationship where you've got this ongoing passion, and that's passion on all levels, you know. That could be straight from spiritual passion, emotional passion, your sexual connection, your intimacy. It could be on all levels, you know. So don't get into the gossip and the naysayers with that. And if this is someone that is coming at you with the shadow aspect of the Knight energy, then you've got to use your intuition. Make sure you're going to use your intuition, and you're going to have success and overcome, you know, how impassioned their delusion is, you know, that they are seeing things that just aren't there. You're going to recognize that, and you're going to break through that, okay? So let's get into a little bit of information from Crystal Deck and see what other messages we can build on with this Knight energy, this Knight archetype. And you know, it's interesting, because if you're in union, sometimes connections start out that way, you know, where one or both partners embody that archetypal energy and really go over the top to show them their best selves. And then over time, you know, things sort of loosen up a bit, and we don't put that conscious effort in so much. We don't try so hard. And maybe this is just a little wake up, if you're in union, to either appreciate the beauty that you have in your life, or it's a sign for you to move through this energy and to bring things to a whole new level of success and connection, right? Okay, so on top of the intuition and the understanding, King of Cups and the High Priestess, we've got, and she's connected to the infinite, like that's very tuned in. We've got Angel Aura Quartz, lighten up. Angel Aura Quartz means exactly that, like the Angel Aura is the quartz that connects you very strongly into your intuition, connects you very strongly into the divine, into accessing that what is true in the heart space, you know, channeling those clear messages from spirit. So again, it's saying, you know, you've got to lighten up, access that energy, use that High Priestess energy, and really see the beauty in this connection, you know, however unconventional or different it may seem to others. It's your journey, it's your connection, it's your relationship possibly, it's your romance. You make the rules of that. That's all about, you know, you're empowered. You and your partner, your potential partner, you are the ones that unfold the way that story is going to go, right? And then here, under the Six of Wands success with gossip, with this Page of Swords energy, so you could have a younger masculine energy here with the gossip. You're going to overcome that if there's gossip coming in. And you've got Sunstone, you know, take pleasure in the things that you do, and you're going to be successful. So take pleasure in this energy, you know, really soak it up and receive it with the beauty and grace that it is, if it's coming from an authentic place. You know, if this is really what this person is bringing to you, is it feels authentic. And again, use that intuition. Don't walk into it all blindly, like, you know, by all means, you've got to use your discernment. But this is indicating, you know, find the pleasure in it, because there's pleasure to be found. Like, this can be a beautiful thing. It can be a really successful union for you with this archetype. You know, someone is really working very hard right now to come in and to maybe shift your perspective about romance and relationships. Maybe this is something you're not familiar with. You haven't experienced someone like this in your life yet, or much. You know, you've been drawn to other archetypes. So really allow this to happen, how unconventional it seems. If it feels right to you, then it's right for you. And citrine is being in the light, bringing in the light. So citrine is a really happy, it's a happy stone. And bringing in the light with passion, Queen of Wands, and imagination. Like, this sounds to me like it can be such a beautiful, playful, open, loving, nurturing connection that you could have, you know? And when you've got like the page and the king and the queen and the pages, again, this could be a partnership or a union where there is a significant age gap perhaps, or there's a significant difference in, you know, your perceptions in life, or your way of life, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that this can't be absolutely beautiful and that you shouldn't embrace it. You know, embrace it for all that it can be, and don't worry about the gossipers and people that are letting their imaginations run wild. You know, often people make judgments because they're envious, because they wish they had the strength and the courage to follow their hearts and follow their dreams. So if you've got this Knight archetype energy coming into your world, if that represents another for you, then that's a beautiful thing, and embrace that. You're being given, you know, given the signal from the cards and spirit here to embrace that and to see where that can go, because it looks like it can be a beautiful, playful, joyous space for you with somebody else. And if you're already in union, then perhaps this is just, you know, it's just a reminder of how it used to be, of how you'd like it to be, or of how it is. And you can act accordingly, because that chivalry, that romance, that beauty, that loyalty, you know, that is not one-sided. I mean, if someone is pursuing you, then it may be more heavily showing up from one of the two of you, but it's a two-way street. You know, relationships and connections, they're interactive, you know, as we all know. It's not up to one of the two or one person in the connection, depending on the lifestyle you live. You know, it's not up to one to maintain all of that. So maybe it is that you need to bring out a little bit of your Knight energy to bring some joy and some spark and some imagination back into that connection, and remember what it was that brought the two of you together. So let's draw one last card here. Magic Carpet. See that? You got, it's fantastic. So the Magic Carpet is all about, there is something beautiful and magical in whatever this is, in its light aspect. So if you are entering into or considering entering into some kind of a union with someone, if you're dating, if you're chatting, you know, if you're considering whether to take something, make a stronger commitment to something, you know, that night energy, they're all about that commitment. They're all about being loyal and stimulating and maintaining that romance. And there's magic in that. You know, this could be a really beautiful thing if you let those blocks, that conditioning of society, if you don't let that interfere, if you don't let the gossip, you know, the negative talk that others may have about the kind of scenario this is presenting, don't let that impact you. Do what is best for you, and this could be a really beautiful thing. So that's a really positive read. You know, in the end, I'm really happy it all kind of came out like that, because you never know with the cards how it's going to roll. So those are the messages around pile number 1. If you chose that, you're working with the night energy archetype right now. And I hope that the information was helpful to you and it helped give you some insight into your own situation. You know, by all means, please share the video with others. Subscribe for me and help me build my awareness to share with others. Thanks so much for joining. Until next time. Okay, hi. All right, we are about to get into pile number 2 for your archetype reading. If you have chosen pile number 2, then this is the second pile here. We're going to take this pile and shuffle it up. I'm going to choose one, I'm not going to choose, a card will be chosen for the focus, the archetype that is coming into or is already present in your life, or that it is time for you to use the traits of that archetype, that pattern of behavior in a situation that's coming forward in your life right now. There are lots, archetypes are quite complex, so there could be a number of different scenarios, and I will do my best to present as many of those as I can for you. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, one dropped, but it was right on the bottom, so we'll just shuffle up, and if it comes out again, then that's the one. Okay, and it didn't. All right. All right, so we have the addict. Now, please, this doesn't mean that, you know, the card is not suggesting that you are an addict or that anyone is addicted to anything. It's a pattern of behavior. You know, it's not suggesting that you own that or that you're being said that that's the case for you. But a light attribute in the addict helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. In the shadow attribute, it compromises your integrity and honesty, and it allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. So when you're working with, when you're recognizing the addict archetype, that means in the light attribute, it helps you to see a pattern that's starting and you stop. And it could be an addiction to anything, you know, or a tendency to step into virtually anything. It doesn't have to be a substance. It doesn't have to be involve alcohol or, you know, drugs, anything like that. It could even be a pattern where when you're faced with an issue and you just don't want to deal, your pattern is you go to bed and you just become addicted to that avoidance, that I don't want to deal with it, so I'm just going to hide with it and I'm not going to deal with it. And in the light aspect of this, you recognize that pattern and you're able to find the strength and stop that. It could also be that there's a substance involved, you know, or an emotion involved as well. You know, perhaps you're, in order to feel good about yourself, or if this is pertaining to someone else in your life, you know, perhaps they say negative things or they put you in a big me, little you situation to make themselves feel better. And that's become a pattern for them. They're addicted to that sort of immediate feeling of that big ego, but then that quickly deflates. And so they need to They need to continue that pattern in order to feel better. But they're in shadow with that when you use your power like that, because they're not aligned to their higher selves. When you use the power in this way, you know, the energy of the addict, and you don't recognize it, or you do recognize it, and you're just like, forget it, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to do this anyway, then that's a negative. You know, you're compromising your integrity and you're compromising your honesty here, all right? And when you're dealing with someone who's in that behavior, you're allowing them to have power over you. And that's, you know, that's never a positive. So let's get some information from the tarot, because this is a very common archetype. You know, this is one a lot of us deal with on multiple levels, and we're not going to get stuck in the substance piece of this, you know, because the addict archetype can be anything. It can just be anything. You know, you become addicted to a way of being even, and you stick to that way of being even when it's not serving you anymore. It could be that. So let's just make sure these are really shuffled up and see what we're going to learn from this addict archetype. What do we need to know? Okay. And again, just to be clear, this does not suggest that, you know, viewers or anyone you loved is addicted to anything. It's just that inclination that, you know, that it's the behavior. It's just a pattern, and recognizing the patterns. Now it could lead to, you know, a full-on addiction to something if it's not in check, if it's allowed to compromise your integrity, you know, the integrity and the honesty, and compromise your connection to spirit. Then at that point, you know, you're living in the shadow aspect of that, or that person is. So in terms of this, we have love, Ace of Cups, an offer of love. Okay, so we also have Five of Cups, which is about sadness. And then we have temptation here, which is major arcana. Okay, so in terms of this addict, this could be around someone you love. Usually this is an offering of new love, new beginnings in love, you know, that kind of thing. Just, you need to be mindful, because we have sadness here, you know, be mindful of patterns of the past. So if it is that you have a tendency to be attracted, you know, or you attract to you those personalities that are addictive personalities, risk-taking personalities, you know, that bring about sadness. If you're tempted into that, you know, with this temptation, they're exciting sometimes, you know, it's exciting, it's thrilling energy. In the beginning, it can really take you away. But in terms of this addict personality, you need to be careful with that and make sure that you're not falling into the temptation, you know, of engaging with someone who are in the shadow aspect of this addict energy, you know, because when you love someone a great deal, sometimes what we'll do is we'll even compromise ourselves and our boundaries in order to maintain that connection, that love, that relationship. And it makes us very sad, you know, if this is a true addiction. And it's very difficult to deal with, you know, if this is a new situation for you, if you have a new offering of love here, a new connection that's coming forward for you, then it's super important that you're mindful of any lessons in the past where you've been tempted to interact with someone who is engaged in the shadow aspect of the addict and is not serving their highest good, and is, you know, has lost their connection to their source, because that's going to bring about the sadness for you, you know. So it looks to me like you're overcoming something here. It feels so far like this is someone else. This isn't necessarily your energy, but you know your life the best and your circumstances the best. So if this does pertain to you, like, take a look at it, you know, because just as an example, and I won't spend too much time, but For myself, you know, for the longest time, I was drawn into unions and partnerships where there were people like this that had this tendency, or, you know, the wounded healer, where I thought that I could come in and shine my light and everything would be sunshine and roses, and I had so much hope. And through that love, I had hope, but it ultimately led to sadness, because you can't change anybody else's behavior. You can only change your own behavior, and through that, circumstances will change, right? So this may be a beautiful love offering for you, opening you up to a beautiful new connection. Just to be mindful of this addict energy in its shadow form, that you don't fall into that, okay? Okay, so we have Seven of Pentacles potential with this love. So this loving relationship has great potential for you, all right? It has the potential to really, for you to grow together, for you to experience great things, you know, for you to change a pattern and fulfill your perception of what a loving relationship really needs to be. But you're, again, with this sadness and loss, you know, you've got to overcome this loss that you felt by being connected, perhaps with more than one loved one in the past that has had this shadow energy, shadow attribute of the addict, right? Because you're here to recognize and see. You've seen how that pattern doesn't serve, and so now there's an offer here for you, presenting itself with this beautiful opportunity. But you've got to make sure that you're paying attention to the signs and the signals. You're not there to fix anyone. You're not there to transform them. You can work with them and be a true spiritual partner and work together and be loving mirrors for one another, you know, and show each other your stuff and hold it up and say, let's take a look at this, and you do it in a loving way together and you grow. You know, that's healthy to look at shadow aspects that way. But when you have someone that is consistently in shadow and it's become their way of life, that's not healthy for you, right? So you've got to look at, there's sadness and loss here that you're overcoming, it seems like, or you're in the middle of working through, because you've got this great love for somebody and it's really affecting your ability to help them. You feel like they have potential. And so you're sticking to this, even though you know they're working in the shadow aspect right now of the addict. You're still sticking to it, and you're hoping, you know, and you can't do that. It's you've got the Lovers here. So this could go one of two ways, because it's choices. It could be that you need to make a choice about this loved one, or you, if this is you in shadow, but it feels more like it's someone else in shadow. But it's time to make a choice. And you've got to make that choice from a place of authentic love, where you understand and you recognize these patterns of behavior, that they're not healthy. They've caused loss and sadness already. And so you're moving through this, and it's time to make a choice out of love that's going to serve the two of you for the ultimate good, and enabling someone who is in that shadow aspect of the addict archetype is not helpful at all. It's not serving anyone, least of all them, and not you, because that's a block, right? That enabling is a block. You're not avoiding really anything by doing that. It's just prolonging the outcome. So you need to make a choice. Now, coming back, if this is a choice with a new relationship that's being offered to you, you know, and you've already been through this loss and sadness, being drawn to, or having drawn to you, these patterns of people that have a tendency to have this shadow side of the addict come forward. Now it's time for you to use that light aspect, and you need to make a choice with this person. Make sure you're using your discernment, and make sure that they are not sitting in that shadow energy, or don't seem to have that tendency. And we always get clues. We always get clues and feelings and intuitions around that kind of thing. But you know, you're being offered something here, it looks like, and you need to weigh your decisions and make a decision. There could even be, you know, the decision of two things involved, two people, two paths, personalities. And you've got to decide which one is going to better align with you right now and be in a space where you can elevate and evolve in a positive way, you know. So you're not in there to rescue, you're not in there to enable. It's got to be a mutually loving and giving, nurturing relationship there. So let's pull some crystal energy. Yeah, okay. So trust your intuition. We were just talking about that. Trusting your intuition around potential and love. So this new love has great potential if this is a new love offering, and you've got to trust your intuition around it. If you have been sticking with someone who is stuck in this energy, and you've been doing that out of seeing the potential of what you know they could be if they just, you know, did this or that or the other, then you've got to use your intuition and understand that the potential doesn't mean realization. That's their work. They have to do the work around that. They have to see that pattern of behavior in their lives and work about change, you know, creating change. You can't create that change for them. It's always an inside job. And then you've got Jade, be the bigger person. So here with this loss and with this sadness, you've got to be that bigger person and just say, okay, you know what, I see it. I see the pattern. It's not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's not about, you know, anxiety. It's not about any of the negative shame. It's not about any of that. It's about seeing it for what it is, seeing it for a higher perspective, being that bigger person to just say, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this because for our highest good, mine and theirs, this is not the path, you know? So you've got to see that. And then we have appetite. Get out of your comfort zone. So with these choices, this choice you have in front of you and this temptation, don't be tempted to go back into, if this is a new love offering coming in here. Don't be tempted to go back into the pattern that you know. You know, it's going to be uncomfortable to be with someone that you're unaccustomed to, for it to be such a positive, nurturing space, you know, for someone to want to nurture you and for it to be reciprocal there and to be interactive in that way. You know, when you get used to being in a connection, a relationship where one of you is in that pattern of the shadow work of the addiction archetype, it can be really difficult to come out of that as the person who is not within that, in the shadow aspect of it, you know, because once you come out of that, it's like, for example, with alcoholism, you know, if you've been in union with someone who has struggled with alcoholism and they become sober, you know, the relationship changes because that person is shifting and changing on so many levels. And sometimes when we're the partner of that person, we don't know what to do with ourselves because we're used to playing that role of the rescuer, the enabler, the peacemaker, and all those things. And suddenly we don't have to do that really anymore. And so the relationship needs to evolve, and that's uncomfortable. So if you're dealing with someone who's in shadow and it's a commitment where you're staying in that commitment, then, you know, just realize that and move through that. If this is a new and loving energy that wants to come in, use your discernment and, you know, make those choices. Oh, sorry, I've got this card. And get out of your comfort zone. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable to be in a new vibrational space. And that can be a great thing. You know, that can be a very positive thing. And if you've got if you've got someone who's coming in who is representing a healthy boundary with this addict archetype, you know, then this can be a really loving thing. It might be something you're unfamiliar with because it's not something you've experienced much in your life, but it's well worth taking that risk and opening up to that. You know, you'll find it very empowering. So let's draw one more card to round out the reading. Yeah, this archetype is really, I mean, we see it all the time in society now, you know. It's really prevalent. Loud and clear. So here it is. The message is loud and clear. The universe is speaking to you to not fall into pattern, to break cycles, to recognize and trust your intuition. There's a strong possibility here with relationship that you are being presented with the possibility of a new love coming into your life or has recently come into your life. And it's for you to make sure and use your discernment with this addict archetype. Make sure that you use your discernment to check in with yourself, to decide and make the choice that you are breaking pattern. If you've had a tendency to, fall for this energy in the past in its shadow form, and if this person is positive, and representing a healthy balance with that, then by all means move forward with that in a loving space, okay? So those are the messages that came through with pile 2 with the addict archetype energy. I really hope that this connected with some of you. It's a super common archetype that many of us will be touched by at some point in our lives. So thank you so much for listening, and I really hope that you got something from this. By all means, share the reading with others. Like and subscribe if you'd like to help me build my awareness and be able to share with others as well. Okay? Until next time. All right. Hi, everybody. All right. If you chose pile 3 of the Archetypes reading, we are going to get into pile 3 right now. So what I'll do is shuffle the deck, and one card will present itself. We'll just move through here. One card will present itself, and then we will go through the light. Oh my gosh, they're jumping everywhere here for you. We'll go through the shadow aspect of it, the attributes. We'll go through the light attributes of it, because every archetype has its it's a pattern of behavior. It's a tool that when we're aware of it, we can use for the benefit and the evolution of our journey, right? Okay. And we have angel, light attribute, helping those in need with no expectation of return. So that's that person that will lend a helping hand no matter what. They'll drive you somewhere, they'll go pick up groceries for you, they'll drop a card to you, give you a compliment. They're just loving and generous and giving, and it just comes from a place of the heart. They don't expect for you to say anything back. They don't expect any reward or gratification for that. It's just as who they are. It's a beautiful energy to have. They're just a loving, giving spirit. And in shadow, this is someone that acts innocent and angelic to mislead others. And it's falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. Okay, so it's got 2 different aspects in shadow. It's got when you've got ulterior motives, and you're acting all sweet and nice and angelic to get what you want, to be manipulative. That's the angel archetype in its shadow energy. But it's also falsely claiming to be in touch with spiritual guidance. So this is where you've got, people that are misrepresenting their connection to source and the information that they receive from source. So they could claim to be a healer or a teacher or, a mentor of some kind, and say that they're connected in and they're getting guidance from the angelic realm or from spirit or source or higher self. And truthfully, they're just not. They're just saying that in order to make themselves, to serve their ego or to serve some kind of underlying purpose that's selfish for them. So let's take a look. Now, this could be your energy. This could be someone else's energy. As the reading progresses, we'll see that'll unfold a little more clearly with who exactly it pertains to. And archetypes are really complex. There's a lot of different layers and levels to them. There are books written about them. Like it's a big thing. So I'll try and give as many. Sorry, that's too many. I'll try and give as many scenarios as I can for you around this particular archetype and the cards that come up in this reading, okay? Because I want it to be as clear as possible. So, angel archetype, what have we got? Beautiful, okay, so we've got achievement, movement, and growth. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, achievement. So we've also got movement, the Chariot, which is major arcana, which represents big change. And then we have growth with the Ace of Wands, which is about beginnings. So this is fantastic, really nice. So it's, you know, when we use this energy for this archetypal energy for from the right space, you know, from the beauty of the heart space of the divine and the universe, you know, we achieve all of these things. You know, we've got growth all the time. We've got and everything is new, right? It brings about change because the more good we do, the more positive we are, the more we genuinely come from that authentic space without any consideration for reward or payback or acknowledgement or recognition of any kind, you know, then that leads to, you know, achieving that growth and moving forward in life and evolving all the time. So it could be that you are recognizing the need for this in your life and the need for just being in service. You know, you want to be of service and be connected and get a better, stronger connection with divine and be of service to others from that heart space, you know. And if this is in shadow aspect, then these are the things that it's, you know, that it's impacting in your life in not such a positive way. You know, you're blocking your achievement and your movement, you know, and you're blocking this beautiful growth that you have that's possible. So let's draw a few more tarot just to see if this comes together with some more detail here. Because so far it's not popping up as a person necessarily, but there is an event or a shift in perception that's major, because the Chariot is about movement and it's about direction, it's about taking charge. So, you know, maybe it is that you've got someone in your life that is using this archetype with you that does things and then they are keeping track. You know, they do you favors, but they keep track of it. And on some level, they're a little bit resentful, you know, that they're doing it. Well, I did this for you, so now you can do this for me. You know, or someone that offers you something and they're not offering you something, whether it's material or not, but they're not offering that from an authentic place of love and giving and generosity. They're offering that from a place of, well, I give this to you, so now I'm going to keep track. So when I need something or I want something, then I'm going to come to you. And or I expect great acknowledgement for whatever this is I'm doing for you. That's using this angel energy in its shadow form. So maybe you're dealing with someone who's using it in shadow form and it's blocking you from, you know, from these great things because they're interfering, you know, with your energy. So let's see what else we have here. Okay, look at that. So we've got achievement and abundance through this. So this is all about embracing this energy, embracing this generosity, embracing this, you know, your connection to source, and you're just wanting to do things because it's a beautiful thing to do. And, you know, that brings about gratitude, not just for others who receive, but for you. It feels so good to do that. And, you know, you've got this beautiful Queen of the Ocean that says abundance comes with that. And that's on top of achievement. You know, you're going to achieve great things in your life. And in whatever this situation may be, if this is a specific situation or person, because this can also represent a feminine energy, but then you have trust and passion. And again, you've got another king, or you've got a king and you've got another queen. So you've got strong feminine energy in here. And then you've got this masculine energy. They could be male or female interchangeable, you know, but they're representing certain things. So if you stay on this path, you know, where you're focused on the giving from that right space and you're not expecting anything in return, the universe really rewards that. You know, that brings about abundance. When you give, you share. You just naturally want to do that, whether that's monetary, whether that's physical, whether that's your wisdom, your knowledge, your comfort, holding the space. Whenever that comes from the right place, everybody wins with that. And when it doesn't come from the right place, you know, then that's inauthentic and that creates blockages. So the universe is really reminding you right now that it seems like you're coming into a space where you're embodying this energy more and more in your life. Or it's a reminder, start to use this archetype in its light aspect so that you can shift into this beautiful, loving energy. You know, trust in it, and you'll just discover, you know, that you have a passion for service, perhaps, a passion for serving others. You'll discover and spark something inside of you. Maybe you'll come into an even stronger connection with the divine. You know, it raises your frequency and your vibration, and it's a really beautiful thing. So let's see what crystal energy we have surrounding this archetype of the angel. And, you know, recognize also, this is a message too, to recognize when you're interacting with others who are not using this in its positive light attribute, but are using it in its shadow form. And, you know, you've got to trust your own instincts and your flow and not allow that energy to come into your space. So if you can see it, if you can recognize it in someone, then that gives you the information that you need to not engage in it, you know, to not buy into that. So when someone offers something to you, if you just instinctively know that that's not coming from the right space or the right place, even though it's something you may really need in the moment, then, you know, by all means, you don't need to accept or receive that, because you can sense that it's coming with conditions, you know, and you don't necessarily want that unless those conditions are set about ahead of time and you're in full agreement between you. But that's not really what we're talking about in this case. So under this abundance and achievement, we've got Malachite, which is it's time to transform. So it's time to really embody that energy of that abundance, that generosity, that giving where you can, that coming from that space of, you know, not expecting anything to come back. You're just doing it because you love to do it, because you're called to do it, and you're beautifully connected in that way, and it's going to bring about this transformation for you. And then we have rhodochrosite, which is recognize your worth, remember your worth, right? So you've got to trust in this, because this is bringing about movement, this shift here. So either letting go of someone that represents the shadow aspect of this in your life, or you letting go of the shadow aspect of this in your life, means that you're going to be able to come into this flow much more easily and recognize just how much you're worth, you know, and just how much you have to offer, and the abundance that's available for you when you come from this open, authentic space of generosity. You know, you may not have a lot of money, but you may be able to, you know, make someone a meal who just isn't up to making one. They don't feel well. It can be that. It can just be sending a beautiful message to someone to uplift them if something has happened, you know, where you just want to lift their spirits. It's just in the giving, you know, that wanting to give what you can, and that energy of, you know, when you're in that space where you're giving like that, and you're in that space of abundance, sort of energetically and emotionally, and you're connected, the universe responds to that, and it brings more to you. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And this last one is support is all around you, and this was in a position where you have to pay close attention to this one. So recognizing that you have support all around you, you know, you're growing and you're shifting, and you're coming into a new space where you're going to take control and you're going to develop a passion for something, but it's got to come from this space of this open, beautiful, generous, authentic. Authentic is really the word. This authentic space, rather than a place of, okay, if I do this, it's going to get me here. I'm going to be able to expect this back. You know, release the outcome. And when you release the outcome, then the energy flows in just such a much more beautiful way. Okay, so let's take one look, a final look at a card to round out the message for this angel archetype today. And see where it is. Silver lining. Okay, so this is, of course, you know, we all know what a silver lining is. Things may seem challenging. It may be difficult. It may feel difficult, you know, to put yourself in that space energetically and lift yourself up. If you're not there, it may be difficult to work with someone or interact with someone that is in the shadow aspect of this. But you know, there's a silver lining here where you can be that bigger person and you can shift your energy and your boundaries and you can bring about change. You know, you have the power to do that. You have the power to bring about that change just by being aware and shifting your perspective and perhaps holding up to a mirror, you know, to the other person or the other people involved, and just gently letting them know, you know, sort of what you're seeing, or shifting your behavior where you're no longer engaging in that back and forth of, you know, them offering something to you with the expectation that you are going to reciprocate that back, and then you get stuck in this energy of obligation, and you know, that's a lowering vibration. You don't want that. So you want to break that pattern, because you know, everybody's better for that in the end. Okay, so those are your messages around the third pile and the archetype of the angel. I really hope that you were able to get something from this. Thank you very much for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and share if you really liked the messages that came through. And I thank you again for spending some time. All right, until next time.